Good morning or afternoon, depending on where you are. This is Kevin Wrights with Rural Lifestyle Dealer. Thank you very much for joining us for today's webinar with Brian Rode, Business Development Manager of ARI Net Services. Today, Brian is going to discuss how an optimized online presence and user experience can help you to improve lead conversions. Before we get started with the presentation, I have a couple of housekeeping items. On your screen, there is a control panel with a Q&A icon. You can submit questions here at any time during the presentation. Time permitting, we will look to answer as many questions as possible following the presentation. If for any reason your internet connection or even our connection should happen to fail at some point and it looks like the webinar has been interrupted, just go back to that email you received earlier telling you how to join the presentation and you can re-enter that way. And with that, we're ready to get started. Thanks again for joining us, and I'll hand it off to Brian now.
Yeah, hey, good morning and afternoon, everybody. Thanks, Kevin, for that introduction. And yeah, my name is Brian Rode. I work with ARI Network Services. We're going to be going through this webinar here, as you can see by the title, Breaking into the Customer's Path to Purchase. And to me, and many others out there, and I think you would all agree with me, never has this been more important than the environment of the COVID winter that we're in right now with consumers, whether we like it or not. So let's get on to the next slide. I think that we will be pretty quick with this. We've got an hour set aside. I would love it if we took a half hour worth of questions, but I think that this is going to be between 15 to 25 minutes worth of presenting. We've got 14 total slides, so buckle in and we'll get right on into it. Here's our agenda today. I'm going to go through a little bit more of an introduction, not only just for myself, who I am, but also ARI. Then we're going to kind of talk about the world today and the impact that coronavirus is having on our businesses and also online traffic trends. We'll then get into the digital path to purchase, something that some of you, if you're current customers of ARI, have likely seen and spoken with us about before. And if not, I think you're going to find it very informative. We'll also talk about getting found online, generating more leads. I mean, who doesn't need more leads, of course? And then the impact that the Americans for Disabilities Act from last fall, a little bit of a ruling over there, if you haven't heard about that, just to give a little bit of an FYI on that as well. And then we'll get into questions. So feel free to type in your questions as we go along. I'm going to get to all of them at the end, and we'll go from there. Again, that's me. I'm Brian, Business Development Manager here. So what my role entails is speaking with, communicating with, and building and forging relationships with manufacturers, distributors, third-party companies to help enhance our platform. And we'll speak to a couple of those relationships and a couple of the ways that I'm able to help out with that. But we're really, really dedicated to this outdoor power equipment, small engine industry. We've been doing it for well over 25 years. And ARI Network Services, ultimately, we offer software tools, marketing services to help dealers, websites, thousands of websites across North America. We're touching over 26,000 equipment dealers' locations across North America. The portion of our services that we're focusing on with this today has to do with the website and digital marketing side. But of course, we've got other specific services that we provide for manufacturers, to yourselves as dealers. And, we're very diversified in our technology offering to help, as we like to call it, help you all sell more stuff to your consumers. All right, world today, COVID-19, the economic slowdown, shelter in place. I remember the first time I actually heard about that term. My brother told me about it. He's in San Francisco, and I think they were one of the first places, if not the first place in the US, to actually actively shelter in place. And lo and behold, within a couple of weeks, I'm up here in Minnesota, we were doing the same thing. Some of the trends you're probably looking at on the screen right here on the right-hand side, talking about website visitors website leads over here. Between March, mid-March, towards the beginning of April, that's when everything shut down, slowed down, closed, whatever you want to call it, the shelter-in-place initiatives, the school closings. Unfortunately, the layoffs, working from home. That's when it all went into effect. And you'll see that the prior year for 2019 is this gray line. For 2020, this current year is the green line. I don't think that anybody on this should be that surprised that the impact for the environment that we're in right now has had on average web traffic across the thousands of websites that we host and help dealers like yourselves, with your businesses. So it's more than, I believe, doubled, and it continues to trend up. I'm really looking forward to seeing how the rest of May pans out. But when we're talking about visitors leading into leads, that's what we're going to focus on during this webinar here. And feel free to ask questions at the end once again. So we'll get on to the next slide. But this is a very powerful image of just the impact of what consumers are having to do. I think that one way it was put to me by one of our experts is we're cramming 5 years of advancement on the consumer side, their advancement and their comfortability of interacting with your businesses and doing business online into a very short stretch of a couple months. And, I think that there's different experts and opinions out there as far as how this is going to change consumer behavior. But I think we can all agree that, having a website, having and adhering to the best practices online for your business is really, really important now. And we'll talk more about that here. The digital path to purchase. I've got a graphic that's really nice on the next screen, but we'll just kind of talk to these bullet points for a couple minutes here. Today, shoppers are using the internet to thoroughly research products, check out reviews, browse social media, look at third-party listing sites, and more to make buying decisions from a dealer. Robo, not RoboCop, but Robo, research online, buy offline. When we think about the way that consumers today are looking and trying to find a price for that piece of equipment, or trying to take a look and find an attachment or see what services that you all provide, and then showing up to your brick and mortar and doing business with you. Right now, Robo, although very important, ultimately it's diminished a little bit in this time just because of the lack of brick and mortar influence. And so it's really, really focusing on this research online portion. Now, while most consumers out there are performing that research as their grass is growing, figuring out where they can get their lawnmower repaired, or where they can buy it, purchase a new one, or get a string trimmer, they're waiting. They're watching and waiting to make those purchases offline, from what I've heard from many, many dealers. And they're starting to see an influx of the ability to do that type of business now. But another great piece of this bullet point ultimately is talking about over half of all searches are made via mobile device. So if you think about the search that you make when you're looking for a lawnmower in Minnesota, within Google or Yahoo or any other search engine or place, over half of all those are coming from people's handheld devices versus the PCs that you might be watching from, or I'm using right now. Very powerful stuff. And then your digital marketing efforts are crucial to help you reach your customers where they're shopping on the internet, taking advantage of search engine optimization, SEO, maintaining strong social media profiles, and optimizing your website. You can help turn casual shoppers into loyal repeat customers. And here's the graphic I was referring to. The digital path to purchase, starting with a search. Like we said earlier, 63%, over half of all searches are happening on mobile phones or tablet browsers, right? The research online, review sites have a ton in the same and the position of where you're ranked as a business. eBay, Craigslist, YouTube, videos, social media, it all factors into how you're found in the research that consumers are performing online. visiting a retailer's website. What are customers looking for? They're looking for price, they're looking for details, store hours, information about the items. Are they in stock? Where's the location? How far away is it? They're all looking to answer all these questions in such a short time frame. A website, an enhanced website with a provider similar to or ARI can really, really help out with that. Visiting in store, 79% of in-store consumers conducted research online while in the stores. They use search engines, they use other websites and applications as well most of the time. Purchasing in store, 80% of small business purchases are still made in the store. We'll see, that's all pre-pandemic, that's pre-COVID, but leading into it, it's still something that there's so much of a digital influence that has on the in-store purchase. And then driving customer loyalty, email marketing, apps, text message marketing, getting great open rates, and then PPC, pay per click, within Google or different types of AdWords. Getting found online. For many shoppers, searching for a product or business on Google is the first step towards making a purchase. Online business listings. Over half of business listings have errors and inconsistencies. Your website provider needs to ensure consistency and control across all listings. ARI does a phenomenal job of this. There's other website providers out there that do a phenomenal job of this. Make sure you're holding them accountable. With social media, making sure that you have a Facebook page for your business. Social media can influence up to 40% of all sales, according to Bain in 2017, and it's key to effective digital marketing. Search engine optimization, the acronym that I mentioned before, requesting your website provider to run a local search engine optimization test to determine a dealership's ranking, your business's ranking on Google, and comparing those results to your competitors. We do a great job of that here at ARI, and there's many other website companies that have that in their back pocket to help show how competitive or non-competitive you are for different searches in different areas for different customers, because you, as the business owner, ultimately know exactly where your customers are coming from and where they're not, where you need to grow, and how you need to grow with certain terms or certain services or certain brands or certain types of models of equipment. That's what it's all about. Part of what you should look for in a trusted website provider, solutions built for dealers. So what does that include? Well, you need to have a fully responsive and customizable website. What responsive means is that whenever you're on different types of screens, whether it's a handheld screen, your phone, whether it's a tablet in your lap or your laptop or a PC, that website adjusts all of the pieces of information and imagery and logos and data and graphics so that it's the same experience for all of them. Before responsive websites were required, we ultimately needed to, once we got to that website, if it wasn't on your PC or desktop, if it was in the palm of your hand, you had to kind of zoom in and zoom out, and it just wasn't an optimal experience. It wasn't easy to work with. And for those apps or websites that did optimize it and make those websites experiences responsive, they won. They got the business. So keep that in mind. Preloaded OEM data, manufacturer data, model info, specs, images, parts lookup, sales, factory promotions and banners. We take care of all of this. I mean, think of if you had to load or hire someone to load on your side all of the models that you can sell, their images, their information, their specs. Same with parts, same with factory promos. I mean, I've been in contact personally with 4 manufacturers in the last week alone to ensure that we have all of the imagery for upcoming promotions with them. And I think for many of you sitting on here, you know exactly which ones happened last month, are going on currently, and which ones are coming up. We take care of all the administration for that very nicely, very easily. I can provide more information. Our team can provide more information after this if you have more questions on that. But that's a very valuable service right there. If you want to be more hands-on, Make sure that the company that you work with allows you to have a user and mobile friendly editor where you can make changes and you can make, different additions to your website for different seasons out of the year, right? Secure online e-commerce with user-friendly checkout. If you're going to allow people to purchase products or parts online, it definitely needs to be easy. Otherwise, if it's not simple, if it's not user-friendly, no matter if that customer is very motivated to make that purchase, they're gonna find another place to make that purchase if they don't feel like it's a trustworthy experience. Ensure that your provider has integrations with as many major dealer management systems as possible. This can really allow you some peace of mind, and also to make it easier on you to show what's in inventory, what the pricing is, and so on and so forth. And then easy time savings ways to load inventory for what you have in stock in your store. So we here at ARI, we do have an application, an app that comes with our program that allows you to just simply take your phone, take a picture, and it loads onto your website very, very simple and very easily that way in the area that you want. And you can make different edits and, make different, place in different pieces of information talking about that specific product. So I know that other companies do have other ways of doing it, but just, keep in mind, if you have inventory, you want to move used goods or just new goods that have been sitting on the showroom floor for way too long, adding them to your website and making sure it's an easy process is what it's all about. All right, ongoing customer support and training. I actually used to do this many years ago, and the biggest thing that I would always focus on is ensuring that, as I'm in contact with you, my customer, as a dealer, as a business owner, I understood all of what your goals are, not just on an overall basis, but on a seasonal basis, right? What are the brands that you're on program with? What are the services that you're looking to grow? Which pieces of your business are more profitable than the others? And how much would you like to promote those over the other pieces of the puzzle, right? And so what I've always been able to do, and what other website companies do a great job of as well, is ensuring that they meld what your goals are and have the conversation with you to see exactly which weaknesses don't make sense, right? So what that means is when we go through the analytics piece of your website and we see exactly, what are the strengths, where are your customers coming from, where are they going to in your website, which brands are they looking for, which brands aren't they looking for, right? It's easy to see from my perspective looking in as a consultant for you, what are the strengths, but do those make sense? Based on your goals, do we want to increase a certain service that you're not being found for, increase a certain brand or type of equipment that you're not being found for, there's not much awareness, or those pages aren't being hit within your website or visited, or you're not getting many leads for lawnmowers? Let's tweak, let's change, let's edit the website to make sure that we can build that weakness more into a strength, because ultimately a website is never a finished product. It's always a moving target. And it's definitely, with this industry, it's always moving more often than not with the different seasonalities, whether rain is falling, whether the grass is green, if the snow is falling, all of that. The Americans for Disabilities Act and how it affects your business. So some of you on this might have already heard about this. Many of you probably haven't, but I just want to give a big FYI to all of you out there in what it means. And what it really means for your business is just mitigating risk and allowing everyone who wants to do business with you online to conduct it as effectively as possible. So essentially what the Americans for Disabilities Act states is that your business online has to allow for people that are legally blind or legally deaf, or both, to be able to do business with you online or interact with your website. We have a tool. It's through AudioEye. It's a very widely used tool out there. Many website companies utilize it across different types of industries, and we've partnered up with them, and it's been a great partnership ever since. And last fall, the Supreme Court ruled in favor of a plaintiff that was looking to sue, believe it or not, Domino's Pizza. They weren't able to order a pizza online. They were not able to complete their transaction. They couldn't hear the website. They couldn't interact with it all that well. And so it's basically like building a ramp, a physical ramp for your store, equating to ensuring that there's different tools. There's like a little bit of a toolbar here on the right-hand side that you can kind of see that will allow for the tool of audio eye to read out all the different sections or make them a little bit easier to see, right? If someone's colorblind, there's a setting on there to allow them to see different colors or adjust the colors of the website throughout the page. So we've got a full integration, many websites. Most websites you might not even notice or realize it. Most websites you travel to every day have this little icon of a guy in either the lower right or lower left-hand corner, so that when you click it, you can make the adjustments to the settings if you happen to be someone of disability. So there's a lot more detail. There's a lot more information that goes along with this. Feel free to reach out to us, or we'll reach out to you. But it's something that really mitigates your risk for any type of litigation down the road. You can kind of go from there. Converting web traffic into leads, even buyers, right? So we have a customer called Henderson Implement Outdoor Power, and they've seen tremendous increases year over year in their online leads, and then also their total website sessions. And that means just the people that get to their website. There's many website companies out there that are helping, just like we are. Companies like Henderson realize increases over what they had before year over year when it comes to making a switch with a website provider, from whether you were using Wix or GoDaddy or someone local or a family member. We're very dedicated to this industry. We do a great job not only building a website that reflects all of your goals as a business owner and all of your customers' needs, but allowing for as much traffic to be generated towards that destination that is your website as possible. A couple bullet points here. ARI is a premier Google partner on the digital marketing side. Sometimes it's not good enough just to have a website up there. Sometimes if you're in a competitive area, you need to give it a boost, invest in Google AdWords. And we've got a fantastic team that helps put together a plan that you feel comfortable with to spend extra dollars to generate extra sales. We use preferred methods proven to increase leads and even bring in more qualified leads, leading to higher sales conversion rates. So again, every company's out there, website company out there, legitimate, is going to have their ways that they're really good about going about this. But you should really think about adhering to making sure you're doing the right practices for your business online, and ensuring that you're partnering up with the right company. With that, we can jump on into questions. That was right on the button, about 24 minutes. And I think I can get into a Q&A area up here. Oh, thanks, Joel. It was really nice. Kevin, these slides will be available, I think. Will they be on the Rural Dealer Lifestyle website, or do you know?
We will be making the presentation and audio available afterwards, and we can also include the slides for download too.
Perfect. Okay, well, yeah, I'll make sure I provide those on over your way as well. Let's see, bring up a couple more questions here. I had a question come across that asked a little bit more about the factory promos. I don't know if that was before I brought it up or after, but I'll go into a little bit more detail on that. We receive all of the assets from all the major manufacturers because they understand that so many of their dealers, thousands, hundreds, the majority of their dealers are utilizing our platform for websites, and so we communicate with them, and it's very imperative that we get the different assets, the information, and the date range that they're available for. So what we'll do with the actual rebate is, number one, attach it to the right item, the right models, and then number two, promote it in a factory promo page and ensure that it's only displaying during that time period that it's available for. So if there's one coming up for June 1st through the end of June, we likely have the information already. We've set it up in queue, and it's kind of like set it and forget it, like Ronco. We're going to make sure it pops up there on June 1st. It's gone on June 30th. And, everyone was able to communicate. And you as a business owner you didn't have to spend really any effort at all. All you had to do is make sure that you were offering that specific manufacturer in the data that you have loaded on your website for consumers to perform their research. All right. One question I'll also kind of point out that was brought up to me, not during this session, but before, was the way that web traffic and leads are up. Going back to that graphic from earlier in this presentation, the way that traffic and leads are up, do we here at ARI have any projections on what will happen in the coming months, right? Now, I don't have a crystal ball, but ultimately pre-COVID, people were moving online to research and purchase products. However, the last few months condensed 3, 4, or 5 years, kind of like what I said before, worth of change and consumers moving online to perform research for these types of products into a few months. It condensed 3 to 5 years into a few months and forced consumers and dealers online. Now that the infrastructure is here, it's likely going to stay. It's not going to go away, even when showrooms open back up. This is why it's just so imperative and it's so important that you protect your business and you enhance your business online with a very, very effective website and digital marketing strategy to just make sure that you're communicating what hours you're open. You're communicating what you're able to do for your consumers as far as drop-off or pickup services for COVID. Sanitation, disinfecting. Every business is different, every state's different, every municipality is different in what the restrictions or regulations are for your businesses. So ensuring that you're communicating to the consumers out there as the situations evolve and change, that's very, very important. We've got a little bit of a playbook for our current customers, and how they can help out and how they can help their consumers understand, right? We've got a very evolving and complete, again, I would call it a playbook. I mean, we didn't have a playbook for COVID coming in, but now it's really kind of, the pages are filling in for businesses, especially online and digital. So definitely keep that in mind. Kevin, were there any other questions I might be missing here?
There was one more question that came through, and you did kind of mention part of it, but I'll read the entire question to you.
Perfect, thanks.
Two-parter. Yeah. Do you have any recommendations as far as sales techniques and navigating this new normal that COVID has kind of thrust us into, or any tips on advertising via social media to make sure that our business still thrives?
Great question. So I think my biggest tip to dealers that I've spoken about and that our teams are continually speaking to dealers about is making yourself as available as possible to any communication that comes through to your business through the website or any other digital forms, right? So through your website, there's going to be many ways. If your website's functioning like our websites do, every single page is going to have a way for someone to show interest or communicate about a certain product or ask when you're open or ask about, the procedures for COVID or whatever it might be. And responding as quickly as possible in kind to that consumer is very important. If they provide a phone number, call it. If there's a phone number and email address, call the phone number. And if they don't answer, send them an email. If there's no phone number, but there's an email, send them an email as soon as possible. Make sure that you have a process in place so that you're ultimately communicating back and forth with that customer. You have people, around the, maybe you have a manager that during these hours, they're monitoring the inbox. Maybe during these certain days, the managers, someone else would be monitoring it, but really don't want to miss or be slow to respond to any consumers out there, and just respond to them how you would in person. Many businesses out there, they're not used to getting as many leads, and they're getting so many more online. And one word answers, or just a lack of a response or a slow response can be very detrimental to that lead that ultimately it's priceless. That customer, if they haven't done business with you, their first interaction with you, whether you call them back or send an email or respond to them in any way, shape, or form, that's going to really be the foundation of which you're influencing their purchase decision with you. Kevin, what was the second part of that question?
If you had any tips on advertising via social media to make sure that the business can still thrive.
Right. Perfect. So I think first and foremost, a core foundational tip is to make sure you have a Facebook page for your business. And with that Facebook page, ensure that it's getting updates posted to it at least, once, maybe twice every week or two. Having a Facebook page but not posting anything to it can be detrimental. And it is detrimental for businesses to not have a Facebook page, with the way that, so many different millennial and younger consumers that are first-time home buyers, ultimately looking for their, first couple pieces of equipment for their lawns and their gardens and their homes. They're definitely doing research, not just on your website, but also outside of your website. Again, on Facebook pages, Yelp reviews, Google reviews, all those places. So that's a really big piece right there. And then when it comes to advertising, again, within social media or even in search engines, I would say that there's no silver bullet. There's no one size fits all. I think coordinating with the company that you're either contracted with or feeling, open to working with, ensuring that you put together a plan, you communicate your goals, and you understand exactly what that plan entails, and you're invested in that. That's what it's all about. That's what we do. If someone were to come up to me, that's a customer of ours on the website side, said, "Hey, Brian, I need a boost within Google. I'm not getting found for this. I'm not getting found for that." I'd say, well, there's a lot of different ways we can go about it. Here's, a contact for our expert. I'll put you in touch with them, and we're going to do a little bit of an evaluation without your feedback. And then we're going to get your feedback, meld them together, and build a plan together. Great question, though.
We did have another question come through
Okay.
again. If you had to pick one to emphasize, would you try to capture an email from your website or try to provide as much education on your website as possible?
If I had to pick one between education and capturing emails,
Correct.
well, I think the more information that you provide on your website ultimately will result in more interaction and emails from customers. So I think they kind of go hand in hand. If I had to pick, I would rather have communication coming inbound versus the unknown of how much would be generated by the information. I think that you have to make sure that the information provided on your website is timely, is consistent, is representative of your business. And as far as capturing emails for remarketing purposes, that's very valuable. But yeah, if an email means a lead, I would always choose the lead over and above anything else, if I'm understanding the question correctly. Awesome
All right.
questions. Other questions, Kevin?
Looks like that is it for now.
Okay.
So at this point, the presentation is over. It will be made available along with the audio and the slides on rurallifestyledealer.com in the event you'd like to go back and review. So make sure to watch your email and e-brief newsletter for more information. So on behalf of Brian and everyone at ARI Net Services, thank you for joining us for today's webinar. When you leave, you
Thanks.
will be directed to a short survey, so please let us know what you thought of the live event. Thanks again, everyone, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Awesome. Yeah. Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Kevin.
Thank you.